Thank you, Celeste. And good morning. This is Kent Mathias reporting live for USG Chalice TV. I'm here in the northwest part of the city where I've been out in socially distanced conversations, talking to some of the neighbors, asking them how they are dealing with the COVID-19 stay-at-home order. This family that I just spoke with is representative of what I've been hearing. A lot of ups and downs. Sometimes they say the family can be peacefully enjoying a game of Uno, and then all chaos breaks loose and the children start throwing ping pong balls at each other. So, what's that, Celeste? This is not the time for the USG News Hour. this, oh, this is the worship hour. I got my times wrong. That is embarrassing. Okay, I will pivot and pretend that did not happen. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our second ever live stream worship with the Unitarian Society of Germantown. Last week, a small group of us were in the sanctuary where we hosted a worship service and live streamed out to people all across the country. And this week, for reasons of safety and solidarity, we are streaming from our homes. I'm honored to be leading worship with Mark Doherty, our wonderful music director, and Reverend Rebecca Froome, live streamed in from Boston today. And this is a team effort. We have a lot of people helping from their homes. If you know of anybody having a hard time coming on here and finding us, direct them to the USG website or have them call the church number, because we have a team of people waiting to help and get them hooked in. I want to give a big special thanks to our magnificent church administrator, Celeste Lamb, who's been working for weeks now as the captain of the ship, navigating us into this new technology communications world. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Celeste. We are continuing with just a few announcements here before we begin our time of worship. We're continuing with many of our programs and ministries in the church to help people as we go through this unprecedented time. Excuse me. On Sunday evenings, tonight at 5 o'clock, as every Sunday evening at 5, we have our mindfulness meditation breathe programming, which you can come into via Zoom. On Wednesdays at 2:30, Deborah Cooper is leading mindfulness time on Zoom, and we have our Exploring Elderhood program Fridays at 2. So elders, you can connect in. We know you're learning Zoom every day and every week, and that's exciting for us to be with you on Zoom. Very important, this Thursday morning, April 2nd, from 8 to 11 in the morning, you can bring food donations. We're leaning in more and more every day. You'll be hearing more in the coming weeks, but right now, this Thursday, you can bring food donations, and Rudy Sprinkle and Lynn Kalish will be at the church to receive them. They'll be wiping them down and getting them in a safe manner to St. Vincent's Food Pantry. The entire church is working to figure out ways to support each other and the wider community. So you'll be receiving a phone call. Some of you will be participating in making the phone calls. This is a collaborative effort between Caring and Membership Committee. We want to know how you're doing and how we can support you, particularly in 5 areas. And you'll be hearing about this in the phone call. But one is health. Do you need any support with your own physical well-being? 2 is social connections. We know there's a lot of isolation. Are you looking for support there? 3 is employment and money. There's so many hardships right now. 4 is parenting, with so many of the children staying home. And 5 is your own food security. So look for those ways to let us know what you need. We want to hear from you. Now, we will turn our attention to the here and now as we begin our worship service. Nobody is in the church building right now. And wherever you are, we are connected in heart and spirit. Through good times and through bad, we can draw solace from the wisdom of the poets and the hymnists. For the beauty of the earth and for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. In this spirit, we light our chalice, symbol of our community and our Unitarian Universalist faith. This matchbook was close the door. I am delighted to introduce my colleague and friend, the Reverend Rebecca Froome. We've been looking forward to this preaching date with her for many months. Rebecca serves as the minister at the United First Parish Unitarian Universalist Church in Quincy, Massachusetts. Rebecca grew up in Mount Airy. I've known her and been impressed by her for over 20 years. And we're just the relationship between Rebecca and USG is so special. She's a third generation Unitarian Society of Germantown person. Her grandparents, Al and Flora Lisi, and her mother, Louise, her uncle Bob, are just all wonderful parts of our congregation. Her grandparents have passed away, but their memory that we have of them, of the kindness and the dedication to justice, is so powerful, and that runs through the whole family. Rebecca lives in Boston with her husband Alec and their 2-year-old Micah, and she is part of just a wonderful wave of ministers doing such great work with heart and brain and a fire for justice and compassion. So we are delighted to welcome Rebecca back to our beloved community today.
Good morning. It is good to be with you in a community. And for our Time for All Ages this morning, if there's any children or young people watching from home, I invite you to come close to the screen because in a moment I have something to show you. But first, I invite everyone to take a deep breath. And I want you to think of a place that is special to you. Maybe it is special because of something that happened there, a birthday party, a wedding, a trip you took with friends or family. Maybe it is special because of its beauty, the beach, the sanctuary at Unitarian Society of Germantown. So many beautiful places. Or maybe your place is special because of how it made you feel, peaceful, loved, happy. And so as you think of a special place, I also want you to think of what reminds you of that special place. Maybe a found object like a seashell, maybe a song, maybe a baseball cap, especially a Phillies cap if Kent is watching. And I want to share with you something that reminds me of a special place. And that is my chalice that usually lives just above my desk. And this is an object that reminds me of Mount Airy and the community at Unitarian Society of Germantown. It was made by USG artisan Eli Scaris, sorry. It's from local wood in Philadelphia, and it has an etching here of Unitarian Society of Germantown. And this chalice was given to me as a gift by my parents when I started divinity school. And it reminds me of the feeling of belonging, of connection, of encouragement. I know right now it might be hard for us to get to some of our special places or to be with the people we associate with those special places. So I invite you to bring a reminder of your special place into your home. If you have a home altar, maybe you can place an object there or put a picture up on your refrigerator. Play that song while cooking, wear that Phillies cap. I invite you to bring that reminder in these strange and sometimes scary times, and to hold a place in your home and in your heart to remember those special places that nourish your spirit.
Now I invite you to take time to connect with the joys and concerns that are real in your life, as we do every week as a community. I want to lift up Norman Matlock, who is in the mourning process of having lost his mother. Our prayers are with him and Suzanne and their family. And our thoughts and prayers are with Marion Watlington as she is being cared for in hospice. So much love to Marion and her family. And we lift up Shobi Canal, who's been having a real tough time recovering from a hip surgery. She had a very painful, a very intensely physically painful week in her recovery. So our good wishes are with Shobi. Our thoughts are with so many communities and people around the globe right now going through struggles of every sort around the COVID-19 pandemic. I want to invite you now to transition to a time of meditation and introspection, after which we'll sing together Spirit of Life. We don't have the lyrics to put up this morning, and I apologize for those of you who don't know them or have them with you in your house. We're still growing in how we do our worship, but many of us do know it, and certainly we can all find solace in Mark's playing of Spirit of Life, our sung prayer, after this meditation. It is a time of great turbulence, so I invite you to connect with something that you always have, your breath and your heart. These are always with us. So get comfortable in your seat. Maybe roll your shoulders back and open your heart to the sky. Breathing in and out. Breathe in and out. Just paying attention to your breath. And now there's a phrase that may resonate with you. It's called cradling your heart. You can put your hand over your heart if you wish, or not, but pay attention to your heart, your physical heart. And this is the place that we also carry so many concerns and so much love. So right now, I invite you to think about a concern or a weight you have. It may be somebody who's struggling. It may be an elder who is isolated. Maybe separated from your schoolmates and being sad and not being with your friends at school. Those are real sorrows that we are struggling with right now. I also invite you to think, to connect with, to feel, to pay attention in your heart to that power of love, to that divine life source that you feel. Maybe it's sensing being held back right now by the restrictions of this living situation you're under, but I believe it is there. Can you pay attention to that life source of love, of care? May our meditation on this force of love combine together in our broader beloved community and combine with so many other communities. And may this divine love transform us as well as countless others and the world.
Our reading this morning is titled The Wisdom to Survive by the farmer, poet, activist, Wendell Berry. If we will have the wisdom to survive, to stand like slow growing trees on a ruined place, renewing it, enriching it, It will make our seasons welcome here, asking not too much of earth or heaven. Then a long time after we are dead, the lives our lives prepare will live here. Their houses strongly placed upon the valley sides, fields and gardens rich in the windows. The rivers will run clear as we will never know it. And over it, bird song like a canopy. On the levels of the hills will be green meadows, stock bells in noon shade. On the hills where greed and ignorance cut down the old forest, an old forest will stand, its rich leaf fall drifting on its roots. The veins of forgotten springs will have opened, families will be singing in the fields. In their voices, they will hear a music risen out of the ground. They will take nothing from the ground, they will not return, whatever the grief at parting. Memory, native to this valley, will spread over it like a grove, and memory will grow into legend, legend into song, song into sacrament. The abundance of this place, the songs of its people and its birds will be health and wisdom and indwelling light. This is no paradisal dream. Its hardship is its possibility. Glaciers are retreating. Millions rely on their water. Read a headline last year. And then a few weeks later, another headline, Greenland's melting ice nears the tipping point, scientists say. And a few weeks later, another headline, cavity in Antarctica glacier is 2/3 the size of Manhattan, scientists say. It seemed that there was more terrifyingly bad news about the climate crisis each week, and I, like many others, found myself caught in an avalanche of almost overwhelming thoughts and feelings. The breadth of this climate crisis is so huge that sometimes it seems that our ability to respond melts away like those retreating glaciers. And all we are left with are feelings of loss, heartbreak, anger, and even despair as we see the injury caused to ecosystems, shrinking habitats, and the rise of climate refugees, as well as the rise of sea levels. When I find myself being overwhelmed by the pain of the world in the midst of this global climate crisis, I turn to the work of eco-philosopher and Buddhist teacher Joanna Macy. Joanna Macy writes about the importance of honoring our pain in the work of responding to climate change. Our Unitarian Universalist principles affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. And Macy teaches that our pain on behalf of the world is a reminder of this interdependence web of existence and our place in it. Joanna Macy writes, "Our experience of pain for the world springs from our connectivity with all beings, from which also arise our powers to act on its behalf. In honoring our pain and daring to experience it, we learn the true meaning of compassion, to suffer with." She writes, "We begin to know the immensity of our heart and mind. What has isolated us in private anguish now opens outwards and delivers us into the wider reaches of our collective existence." This past month, another story of a global crisis has taken over the headlines. This time, we are faced with new devastating headlines every day as we see this new coronavirus spreading across the world, bringing fear, anxiety, and suffering with it. We look at all of those maps with growing red dots. We learn about the people who are most vulnerable to the virus and the communities that are most vulnerable to the economic consequences from the remarkable ways that our society has shut down in order to slow the spread of this disease. Our hearts ache thinking about how the lives and livelihoods of our loved ones and even ourselves are under threat. Our hearts ache knowing the economic toll that this great shutdown is taking on all of us, especially the poor and the working class. And our hearts ache, fearing for how the virus will spread in homeless shelters, jails, refugee camps, detention centers, in our cities and around the world. It can be overwhelming. And so in this time of global health crisis, I invite us to draw upon tools of resilience that come out of the global climate crisis. Joanna Macy knows that in honoring our pain for the world, we remember our interconnectedness, our compassion, and our ability to act. And she also knows that this hard emotional and spiritual work is best done when it is grounded in gratitude. Joanna Macy writes, "Gratitude quiets the mind, brings us back to source, stimulating our empathy and confidence. Expressing our love for life on earth in brief and concrete terms helps us to be more fully present and grounded for acknowledging the pain we carry in the world. In our time for all ages, I asked you to think about a place that is special to you. I asked you to hold space in your heart and your home to remember and be grateful for this special place. And I know this exercise of gratitude may have also brought on feelings of loss and sorrow. Remembering a place where we celebrated a special birthday or anniversary is also a reminder of how we are, for a time, unable to celebrate together in person. Remembering a place that we shared with loved ones can remind us of both the isolation we feel and the fear that we hold for our lives and the livelihoods of our loved ones. That pain is real. And it does not erase the gratitude we feel for those special places and communities and people we hold so dear. So even now, especially now, it is important to remember with gratitude the relationships, the places, the traditions that matter to us, the beauty of the earth, the beauty of love shared heart to heart, hand to hand. When we are grounded in gratitude, we are more able to sit with our pain and the pain of others. All of those sorrows, all that those fears we have in our hearts, we know others have them too. Through both gratitude and pain, we remember that we are part of an interdependent world. And from there, we have the greater ability to develop clarity, to build momentum, to let pain and fear not be the end of the story. And what will the end of the story be? We don't know. We don't know how the world will be changed in the coming weeks and years by COVID-19, by this recession, by climate change. And all that unknowing of the future has the potential to pull us right back into the overwhelm of following every breaking news story in these present crises. And when this happens, I invite you to once again ground yourself in gratitude. Let your heart return again and again to those people, those places, communities, traditions that inspire and sustain you. We can look in the present for gratitude, all the acts of compassion that are coming forth. We can look to the past in gratitude, remembering that special place. And we can also look to the future. This is what Wendell Berry does in that poem, The Wisdom to Survive. He starts his poem with a painful portrait of the present. If we will have the wisdom to survive, to stand like slow-growing trees on a ruined place. And then his words move from that ruined place, and he dares to imagine a future of abundance. He describes green meadows, clear streams, people living in harmony with the land. The abundance of this place, the songs of its people and its birds will be health and wisdom and indwelling light. It is hard now to imagine a world marked by health and wisdom. And it is also wondrous and beautiful to imagine that abundant future. And it is perhaps even necessary to dream of that future for which we can be grateful, even while we recognize the reality of the tremendous pain and challenge in the present. When we ground ourselves in gratitude, when we honor our pain as a reminder of our interconnectedness, and imagine a future of abundance, we open ourselves to the possibility that our actions here in the present might help bring about that world of health and wisdom. Friends on the journey, if you envision a world marked by joyous song, open your hearts and sing now. Even if you are singing songs of lament as well as songs of joy. If you envision an abundant world marked by equity and mutuality, practice care and generosity now for those you love, for our global community, for the earth, and for yourself. When pain for the world threatens to break your heart, let your heart break open with gratitude. Let your heart break open with gratitude for the power of your own compassion and for all those places and people that remind you that we are parts of an interconnected, interdependent web of life. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be.
Thank you, Rebecca, for that compelling and sustaining message. What a great combination of prophetic and pastoral and specific ways in which we can handle these challenging times. Specific ways of being generous to causes that matter are one of the ways that Rebecca talked about, and that includes being generous to the church. There was great news this week in Philadelphia where the Roberts family of Comcast donated $5 million to the Philadelphia Public School System's Chromebooks project so they can get distance learning more effectively into the homes of our students in our schools here in Philadelphia. I am asking you to give $5 million today to the Unitarian Society of Germantown. Perhaps you can match the Roberts gift. If you can't give $5 million, I ask you to give whatever you can, but to be generous. The number here is, you can go online to the USG website, usguu.org-give for an online payment, or you can text to this number and then text the amount plus Sunday, plus SUN. So now I'm inviting you to engage in the spiritual activity of generosity and give to the church. We will now gratefully receive the offering.
I can play some more.
Yes, you can, Mark. We'll look forward to more music from Mark next week. May we stay present to the laments and the joys of our lives. And may we go out from this celebration of life, living our lives as songs of gratitude and generosity. I wish you well-being in the coming week, my friends. May you be healthy and helpful to yourself and others. Now we want to, from a distance, invite everyone to pass the peace to each other. I pass the peace to you. Blessings be. All right. People, are we still on as a foursome?